Good afternoon, students. I am Dr. Anuradha Singh, Department of Chemistry, SS Khanna Girls Degree College. Today, the topic of my lecture is activity and activity coefficient, which belongs to MSc second semester course code CHE 508 paper 4. So let's start. We can broadly classify liquid solution into types on the basis of degree of dissociation of the solute molecule. These solutions can be divided into two categories: electrolyte, for example KCl, and non-electrolyte, for example glucose. Further, electrolyte solution can be further divided into strong electrolyte and weak electrolyte. Strong electrolytes are fully dissociates in water, while weak electrolytes incompletely dissociates in water. And in case of non-electrolytes, they do not dissociate in water. In case of non-electrolyte solutions, the predominant intermolecular forces that exist between the components may be van der Waals interactions, dipolar interactions, hydrogen bond ties. These solutions may be ideal, means they can obey Raoult's law or Henry's law, and can be non-ideal if the interactions are somewhat stronger. Now, the solution of electrolytes, especially of strong electrolytes, deviate considerably from ideal behavior. In case of concentrated solution, there exists strong ion-ion interactions and ion-solvent interaction, while in the dilute case, the ion-ion interaction still persists, but ion-solvent interactions play a prominent role. In a solution of strong electrolyte, significant electrostatic interactions both between ion-ion and ion-solvent exist. Therefore, these type of solutions deviate from their ideal behavior. So, next, move on the topic activity and activity coefficient. In 1908, Jean Louis introduced the concept of activity and activity coefficient in order to explain the deviation of an electrolyte solution or gas from ideal behavior. When the solution is highly diluted, it means completely dissociated into ions and all the ions are available for conductance. This solution is said to be ideal solution, and for ideal solution, effective concentration is equal to actual concentration. But the electrolyte which is not completely dissociated, in that case, effective concentration is always less than actual concentration. Louis introduced the term activity coefficient to explain the deviation from activity coefficient, which is denoted by gamma, is equal to effective concentration A upon actual concentration M. Or we can write this: A is equal to M into gamma. This is the equation number 1. But activity of cations, which is denoted A positive, is equal to M positive plus gamma positive, where M positive is concentration of cation and gamma positive is activity coefficient of cation. Now let's consider an electrolyte AB, which dissociate A plus and B minus. That means 1 mole of AB produces X mole of cations and Y moles of anions in solution. Therefore, activity of above electrolyte is defined as the product of activities of cations and anions, and we get equation number 2, A is equal to A plus A positive power X into A negative power Y. As 1 mole of electrolyte produces X moles of cation, concentration of cation will be X times the concentration of electrolyte, that is M positive, your M cation is equal to XM. Therefore, for the activity for the cation is equal to XM gamma positive. Similarly, the activity for anion will be A negative is equal to YM gamma negative. This can be denoted equation number 3. Now, let's put these values on equation 2. We get A is equal to XM gamma positive power X and YM gamma minus power Y. And on solving these equation, finally we get A is equal to X power X, Y power Y, M X plus Y gamma plus minus X power X plus Y, where and this can be denoted as equation number 4. Now consider case 1. For univalent electrolytes, example SCl, NaCl, KCl, the dissociation of these electrolytes gives univalent ions. Here the value of X will be 1 and Y also will be 1. Therefore, equation 4 becomes A is equal to M square gamma plus minus square. Now, on the basis of this equation, you can solve following numerical problem. And the possible answer these. You have to solve with yourself and tell me the answer. Now in case 2, for univalent electrolyte, example sodium carbonate, zinc chloride. Here the value will be X is equal to 1 and Y is equal to 2. And the solution 4 becomes, in this case, A is equal to 4m cube gamma plus minus q. And you can solve this problem on the basis of this equation. Now, what problem I solve here? Zinc chloride is univalent electrolyte, therefore X is equal to 1 and Y is equal to 2. The equation for activity becomes this, and on solving this we get A is equal to 4m cube gamma q plus minus. Let's substitute the values which given in the question and we get 0.3645 is the activity. Now similarly we can solve the case 3 for unitrivalent electrolyte. Here X will be 1 and Y is equal to 3 and we get A is equal to 27 m power 4 and gamma power 4. And you can solve these questions on the basis of our calculations. Now, measurement of activity. How to measure activity? For volatile species, activity can be measured from its equilibrium partial pressure. But for non-volatile components such as sodium chloride, barium chloride, we do not measure activity from the partial vapor pressure because they do not have measurable vapor pressure at most of the temperatures. We therefore use a different approach, that is the vapor pressure of the solvent is measured, and using Gibbs-Duhem relation, the change in solvent vapor pressure is translated with concentration into activities for solute in the solution. The activity of an electrolyte is property that can be measured by experiment. Example, by measuring colligative property such as osmotic pressure or freezing point, depression of the solution. We can determine the mean ionic activity coefficient of ion in solution using either Debye-Huckel equations or from the solubility product or from electrochemical methods using Nernst equation. So we will discuss these measurements in next lecture. Thank you. You can post your queries in comment box. Thank you.